Hi everyone, welcome to Toxiscandia, stories of a toxicologist living in Scandinavia. My name is Sveta and today we are going to discuss another hot topic in toxicology and in our everyday life as well, which is margarine or plant-based spreads. We are going to go through the history of margarine or vegetable spreads and see how it evolved and answer the ultimate question: are they actually more harmful or less harmful than butter? So what to choose, margarine or butter? If you are interested in this topic, please continue watching this video. For those who are new on my channel, I need to tell you that I am currently living in Scandinavia, in Norway. Before that I lived in Sweden and in Finland, but I am originally from Russia. So I have two different perspectives on margarine and butter in my head, because in Scandinavia it is absolutely known for everyone that plant-based spreads or margarine are much better than butter. If you go to the post-Soviet regions, which is Russia, post-Soviet countries as well, it's completely other way around. Only butter is healthy alternative. And margarines and plant-based spreads, vegetable spreads, are the most horrible thing you can do to your body or to your health. So what is true? For me, it was really difficult to keep these two perspectives in my head simultaneously, so I had to go deeper and dig the answer to this question. So let's go through the history of margarine and through its characteristics together with me. First of all, let's start with lipids and fats in general before going to the history of margarine, because we would need that to understand effects of margarine and butter. So usually when we talk about lipids, why can they be harmful to our health? It is because of cardiovascular disease and cholesterol that comes from lipid. Increased values of cholesterol that might lead to heart disease. This is what people usually know, and this is actually true, but there are of course some details and nuances because there are different lipids in our blood. Even cholesterol can be different. It can be of low density and high density. So low density cholesterol is a quite huge lipid molecule that can be harmful for us if it comes in huge amounts in our blood. But this high density cholesterol, it's very tightly packed small molecule, which is actually good for us because cholesterol participates in a lot of processes in our body. For example, it is essential to build hormones, steroid hormones, that are structurally a bit similar to cholesterol. There are also triglycerides in our blood that are also molecules of low density, and in huge amounts they are not good for us. Although we need both low density cholesterol and triglycerides for energy, to take energy from it, but it needs to be fixed amount, not more than some level, not to be harmful for us. You have probably also heard about saturated and unsaturated fats, because these are two different types of fats that we can get from food. If the fat molecule is saturated, this would mean that all the atom bonds in the molecule are single bonds. So there is no double bonds in the molecule, and all the atoms are only connected with single bonds, and on the outside of the molecule you can usually find hydrogen atoms. And these saturated fats usually come from animal products. They are found in meat, in milk, in butter, in all kind of dairy products. Unsaturated fats have at least one double bond in the molecule. In this case it will be monounsaturated fat, and if there are more than one double bonds, then it will be polyunsaturated fat. Unsaturated fats usually come from plant products. They are found in nuts, in seeds, for example, in vegetable oil. So this type of fats usually considered more healthy for us. Although unsaturated fats are considered healthier, there is still need in both in saturated and unsaturated fats for our body to function. But we need to think about balance and the ratio of these two types of fats. And usually if we take the daily calorie intake of a person, if we have 8-9% of this intake which comes from saturated fats and about 14 to 21% that comes from unsaturated fats, this would be a perfect balance. So we should strive to have this ratio. This type of diet will give us 13-15% decrease in LDL if there were any problems in the past with that, and also 25-45% decrease in the risk of cardiovascular disease, which is huge. Okay, back to margarine and plant-based spreads, vegetable spreads. I will use these words as synonyms. So margarine was first invented in 1869 in Netherlands, and actually the original recipe of margarine was animal-based. It was made from milk and animal fat mixed together, and then it gives you butter-like texture, which will be called margarine. And originally margarine would contain 80% of fat and 20% of water. However, in 20th century, new types of fat were being synthesized, and it turned out that it was actually cheaper to synthesize plant-based fats. And after 1925-1927, margarine was usually being synthesized from plant-based components. The first process that was discovered to do that, to synthesize plant-based spread, solid spread, was called hydrogenation, which is very well known usually and is considered very harmful for us. And let's talk about why. Hydrogenation is heating up the plant-based oil to very high temperature so that the structure of fat molecules would change. All the unsaturated fats with double bonds will change their molecule structure, and these double bonds would break and have open ends that would be filled with hydrogen atoms. That's why it's called hydrogenation. This would mean that we would get huge amount of saturated fats and no unsaturated fats basically, although the fat comes from plant-based products. Time went by and there were more and more research about these different types of fat. Researchers and public in general were a bit concerned about this high amount of unsaturated fats in margarine. So different authorities began to restrict this margarine content of saturated fats. For example, FDA had some restrictions, so manufacturers had very good motivation, and sometimes they were just obliged to change the composition of their plant-based spreads. This gave rise to a new method of hydrogenation, which was called partial hydrogenation, which is basically the same as hydrogenation, but the process was stopped before it was completed. So the final product would have both unsaturated and saturated fats as final ingredients, and content of such spreads became much better, and there were much more unsaturated fats. This process went on, and the first plant-based spread that actually contained about 50-55% of unsaturated fats appeared, and it was called Becel, which is still there in the market, I think, even now. And after that began the competition to get more and more healthier spread. In 70s, manufacturers were thinking about how to make low-fat spread, the spread that would not have fat at all or have very, very small amounts of fat. And I should remind you, originally margarine was 80% fat and 20% water. So producers were trying to make solid plant-based spread that had very small fat content, so that it would contain much more water. So the question was how to still keep this solid texture of the product, and the solution was to add some substances that would make the spread solidify, such as pectin, alginate, or basic starch, and this would solidify the oil. These molecules of pectin, alginate, or starch are usually very long molecules that would form kind of matrix, and fat molecules that are left in the product, they would just sit on this matrix, forming some kind of solid plant-based oil product. This was actually low fat content spread, and the only problem was how to make it taste good, because it was not a given with this kind of weird ingredients, and that was also a big question to solve. So manufacturers are still trying to develop more and more spreads with better taste, which is I think a continuous process. You all probably heard of trans fats, which became an issue in 1990s. There were more and more research on this topic, and trans fats are actually products of this hydrogenation process, when very large molecules, fat molecules, are formed, and these large molecules are considered harmful for our body. But we should mention that there are actually natural trans fats existing in our world. They actually come from animal products, dairy products for instance. They are a result of bacteria ingesting contents of this dairy product and producing trans fats. So in dairy products or other animal products, we have small amount of trans fats as well, but they are not as harmful as artificial fats that are formed as result of hydrogenation, or also result of heating up oil many times, as we do with fries, for example, with some fast food. And these fats are really hard to metabolize, and our body is not equipped to do that really. And for statistics, in mid-90s, there was about up to 17% of trans fat in vegetable spreads. And after this campaign of trans fat awareness began, in several years, this number decreased to only up to 2%, which is a huge difference, I think, and very positive change. This was achieved by introducing some new methods, such as fractionation. When in controlled environment, fat is divided into two fractions, liquid and solid fraction, and then liquid fraction is removed and only solid fraction remains. But still this solid fraction is not solid enough. So there was a solution called interesterification, and this is changing the position of some molecules in this solid phase of plant-based oil, and this changing positions of molecules would give you more solid products. In room temperature, this product would be solid enough to use, and then when warmed up, it will melt as butter, but maybe on lower temperatures. And in this case, trans fat content might be reduced up to 0, which is absolutely mind-blowing, and that is why it became so popular, this technique. After they get rid of trans fats, there were still some questions remaining. How to make this unsaturated and saturated fat ratio the most perfect one, the most balanced one. And there was some research on which plant-based sources we should use to make the best plant-based spreads. And it turned out that linoleic acid is the one of the healthiest fats for our bodies, and it is found in rapeseed and linseed oil, and these two sources are often used for margarines or plant-based spreads of high quality. And downside of this linoleic acid is that it actually reacts quite well with oxygen, so the product gets dark, it gets spoiled, and that is why, to keep it fresh, some antioxidants are added to the composition, which is also good for our body. Some lipophilic vitamins are also added often to these products, and there has also been trend to add phytosterols that are good for our cholesterol level, and adding them to the plant-based spreads will make the spreads even healthier. So in best case scenario, we will actually get a product that is really not only keeping our cholesterol and lipids on a healthy level, but actually lowering the level of these lipids in our blood, which is amazing. So what conclusions can we make from this long story? First of all, there are different types of vegetable plant-based spread, and there are different techniques, long way and long history, and when you are choosing the spread for yourself, you should always consider that it can be done with different techniques, and there are also different contents, different ratio of unsaturated, saturated fats in the mix, and there should be minimum amount of trans fats, in the best case 0, or at least less than 1%, and the best version would be if there are around 50% unsaturated fats and less than 8% of saturated fats. This product would be really good for you. But it's also okay to be a bit skeptical about all these chemical processes going on in creating this plant-based spreads, and I actually understand people that are turning to butter because it's natural actually, and it has all these molecules that are kind of familiar to our body. Maybe saturated fats are not that good for us, but at least we know them, and maybe for some people it would be much more comfortable to use butter. I think both approaches can be there, using good plant-based spread to lower cholesterol, or just going with traditional butter, as long as we keep the amount of these products not very huge, so that fats are not like the main component of our diet, which is not very healthy. And I think everyone should make their own choice as adults, as someone who considers different options, different ups and downs, and pros and cons of margarine, vegetable spreads, so plant-based spreads, or butter. So here we are free to choose what is best for our health. But I hope this video was helpful for you, so that it sheds some light to this mystery of margarine and butter. If it's so, please like this video, and you can also subscribe to my channel and hit notifications button to get notifications about my future videos. I wish you all good luck. I hope you stay strong and healthy, and see you next time. Bye bye.